I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. And I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Well, a majority of Americans are now agreeing with President Trump that political correctness has gone too far. 52% now saying they're against the country becoming more PC and are upset that there are too many things that people can't say anymore. Should 2020 Democrats pay attention to this warning sign? Greg, I say all the time, I think this is one of the reasons he got elected. People are so tired of not being able to speak their minds, having to bite their tongues. It's the most dangerous time in the world to be a comedian. What do you think? Do Democrats have to worry about this?
I am alarmed. 52% is not a lot.
Yeah.
It's not enough. And I saw it said 37 or 38 in favor, so there was some other middle ground there. Here's the danger about the concept of political correctness is that it morphs. It's the whole point of it is that it's constantly changing and progressing over time. It expands like the blob. So what happens is something that was acceptable 2 years ago is not acceptable now, so they dredge up things that you said 2 years ago and throw it in your face. It's positioned as a safety blanket, but now it's been spread over culture, and it's suffocating real speech. The only solution to this, and also the one scary thing about PC, if you forgive somebody for doing something that's considered a violation of the PC thing, you are an accessory to the racism or sexism or homophobia or transphobia that has occurred. So you can't even, PC thinking eliminates the concept of forgiveness, which is how our civilization is built, is on people making mistakes. So the solution here is what I've said before is people have to share the risk, right? Comedians, writers, artists, talk show hosts, when they see somebody like Mika or whoever do something stupid, you don't take out the pitchforks and the torches. You forgive their apology and you move on, because that's the only way that you're going to reduce the hysterical histrionics.
Yeah.
Yes, that we now are paralyzed by. Companies in fear because somebody's going to come after you. It's terrible.
But it's not just that. The challenge is it's not just fear of what you might say now. It's fear of what you may have ever said ever that now you have on Twitter and all that stuff. I actually thought I was impressed with the numbers, just because when you look, it's Republican men, women, Democratic men and women. All four of them are coming forth and saying they feel they can't speak their minds the way they used to, which means at least in everyone across party lines, it's registering like, hey, I got to walk on eggshells here.
But I wonder what the age breakdown is. I would love to see that the crosstab on that, because I imagine that it's people like maybe us and older.
It's over 30,
right?
actually.
Right, it's over 30. Okay, so
there's a lot of young kids who don't believe in freedom of speech.
That's right. That's scary.
They don't like that.
Those who were more in favor of more PC were Democrats, adults under 30, African Americans, and small city and suburban women.
So it's interesting. I mean, you're talking about for re-election. Should Democrats think about that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe for this term. This 2020 election, but in 2024, millennials are now the largest voting group. They're surpassing baby boomers. The Generation X is pretty small. And unfortunately, you can't tell a joke to a millennial. I mean, it's pretty funny that they think that The Office is hilarious. Right? Because that is kind of non-PC.
Yeah,
they
that
like
is
The
true,
Office.
actually. Isn't there a difference, though, between cultural sensitivity and cultural hypersensitivity? Like, you can be sensitive without going so far that it's preposterous.
Of course. I watch episodes of The Office now, which I love, and I say they would never air that today. Never, ever. Again, to your point about the evolving blob, it never stops. Now, Trump has served as a huge shield for a lot of people who felt stifled. They're like, he can stand up and say Pocahontas. He can say it, I can say it. Culture should introduce that. We should be okay with that. To me, problem is only the surface of speech is only the surface of the problem. It's the institutions that then institutionalize that. So your K through 12 public schools and your colleges and your elite media and your churches and your movies and your social media. Pretty soon now you're litigating Christmas and the flag, and you wondered, how did I get here?
Right.
And it's been totally infected on the left. I'll say 55% of those identified as Democrats favor more political correctness. So your party's saying, we want more of this.
Well, but listen for a second, think about it. What you see is the strongest proponents of we're too politically correct are white men, older white men. It's unbelievable. It's like 2/3 of them say, oh, this political correctness is terrible, it stinks. But then you start asking about people who've been denigrated in the past, like blacks, and they say, oh, no, we don't like it. And not only that, it's so interesting to me, 70% in this poll said things are worse in terms of civility under President Trump, that Trump has now emboldened people to say whatever they want about whoever they want.
Yeah, but I would say African Americans should have the ability to, Black Americans should have the ability to be offensive and politically incorrect too. I mean, ultimately that becomes...
Yeah, that's the way forward. Everybody should have the right to be offensive.
Yes.
Everybody should have the right to be insulted and to insult.
Right.
If you take the opposite tact and say, my feelings need to be protected, that's an impossibility across the board. Not everybody can be protected, and you will have these issues and the divisiveness. But if everybody said, you can offend me as much as you want, and I can offend you, we're equals. Yeah. We're brothers.
And we should take Dan Crenshaw's example.
Yes.
Right? We remember that Dan Crenshaw goes on Saturday Night Live. Now they're friends, I guess, with he and Pete Davidson. He's trying to help him out when he's in a tough time. And everyone said, oh, that's the model that we should follow. So let's do that.
Everyone says that and then does the opposite. Or you defend your team, but when it's somebody on the other side, then you gotta,
But I think it's progress when we stop bullying and name-calling, demonizing other people. I don't like...
The left never does that.
I don't think you want to be overly sensitive. Let me be clear. But I don't think that it's good that, back in the 50s, you could say this about a woman and say...
We're talking about... I'm talking about language. I'm talking about the silencing language on campus. I'm talking about how it's spreading into a dangerous place. Yep. You wrote a book on this.
Yeah, I don't like political correctness. Yeah. I'm a big free speech advocate, but do I think that, for example, you and I talking about gay people is different in 2018 than it would have been in 2000? Yes, Greg.
Yeah,
I think it's probably good.
I would agree.
100%. All right, well, package thieves messed with the wrong guy. The sparkly surprise that has porch pirates retreating coming up.